Woof meow! Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and I welcome all of you back to this Saturday night for another Christian article. Now, tonight, ladies and gentlemen, as a sort of like a subsidiary of where we were at last week, last time when Chris was talking about jerks and his irrational and very, very childish portmanteau of calling everyone jerk, we are going to be taking a look at his depiction of law and authority when he calls people Jerkops. And we start off with a very, very, very choice quoted phrase. Well, choice quoted paragraph, I should say. That shattered my heart and murdered my soul. Strong language, I must admit. The only thing strong about Chris, well, let's be honest. And it wasn't just her. The policemen, imposters in brown, white, and red. It also actually, it amazes me. For someone who claims he's not a racist, he sure likes to put a lot of emphasis on colour, doesn't he? AKA the Jerkops, blue and black, are true police soldiers. How old was he when he said that? Also seriously indented the impression that Virginia is for virgins, not lovers. What Chris actually means is that Virginia is for virgins exclusively revolving around Chris and not for other people who know what they're doing. A jerkop is a mall security guard or a police officer. The word itself is a portmanteau of jerk and cop. Female jerkops are sometimes called Jane cops. In the Sonitude comics, jerkops serve as the villainous private army of Mary Lee Walsh and Count Graduan. Why those two would not think of something a little bit more intimidating or original, I will never know. It kind of makes it sound like some knockoff villains you'd see on the Care Bears more than anything. With Sonitude liberating them from the former's control in Sonitude issue 10. And Jerkop, a fiend type, okay. This copper fiend wants to shatter the virgin's heart and dies throwing tools for attracting a boyfriend-free woman, just like how Slow Wheel Ryan, he misspelled Slow Wheel Ryan, did. A real American hero. 2004, so Chris would have been 22 years old. I would have been just 6. Appearance. Jerkops typically resemble human beings wearing red, white, or brown police-style uniforms. Chris goes into greater detail in his Backyard Safari feature in Sonitude issue 4. Let's look at one of this illustration. Now here, we see its head is a basic human shape, but it only thinks evil and naughty thoughts. Note, its eyes are frowning. I suppose so. The circus stay that way 24/7. With this face, they rarely attract any woman. Don't worry, Chris, I think it's a lot more than just your face that doesn't attract women. Let's be realistic. This badge is a phony. It's really a cracker covered in glitter goo. Glue, I should say. It wards away all who approach it with its out-of-date breadstick. They wear basic black pants to cover their agile yet ugly legs. Vines, hair, and sores, oh my. Oh my indeed, his grammar is really... If I haven't said this before, I'll say it now. His grammar is fucking appalling for someone his age. Some, not all, wear a black glove to cover the spot where one finger fell off as it grew up. They wear brown shoes because they are ashamed of their sausage. Christ, who wrote this? When attacked by one, you can take it down easily by kicking it here, in the sourdough area. I think I'd need to have like a shower or something after reading something this stupid. What in the hell? You know, that I've been told by people who are very obviously dyslexic, but they could put together sentences far, far easier than Chris does. Which actually, that's kind of like an interesting question about whether Chris is just, his IQ is that low that he can't form together sentences, but can put together... That's... Okay, I think we'll just... That might be a subject for another day. Rank and file Jerkops are depicted in an even simpler fashion than any other background characters in the Sonichu comics. Their legs are often held tightly together, as if moving via tiny wheels on the undersides of their feet. They have plain, curved, vase-like white bodies. Their female counterparts, Jerkops, look about the same, except for their prominent breasts and neck-high hairstyles. Chris would later elaborate on the Jerkop uniforms on the Wikipedia. White uniforms were for low-class Jerkops, such as new recruits. Red uniforms were for an intermediate rank, possessing good amount of experiences and combat skills. Yeah, because, police soldiers are just Power Rangers, and they're supposed to just put on a show with karate moves and all that for the camera. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure that's what, real police officers would do. Finally, brown uniforms were for the highest class, including Jerkops and Jerkop denizens such as Baguette. Now I'm starting to get the impression that Chris just had absolutely no thought whatsoever into writing his comic, and it was the first thing that came to his mind, and he stuck with it, no matter what. Mecha Jerkops. Robotic minions of the Jerkops, the Mecha Jerkops first appeared in Sonichu issue 3. Humanoid in appearance, the Mecha Jerkops are about half the size of normal humans, and are dressed and armed to resemble human Jerkops in every other respect. Because of this, Chris's inconsistent depiction of scale and perspective, it is difficult to distinguish Mecha Jerkops from their organic counterparts, because Chris is a terrible artist, and they may have appeared in subsequent issues without being named. In sub-episode 4, Mac Attack Part 1, B Manager explains that the Jerkeef informed him of Chris and his love quest. To help the Manajurks at Walmart defeat Chris, the Jerkeef send a pair of Mecha Jerkops to help the B Manager and his partner, the Married Senior comic. Before the Mecha Jerkops could act, however, they were cut down by the Sword of Dark Bind Sonichu, who had come to help Chris battle the Manajurks. Well, he's going to need all the help he can get, because look at this stunning display. Like, I don't even think the Bayeux Tapestry can depict something as consistent or as highly elaborative and well thought as this. Also, by the way, guys, if you out there don't know what the Bayeux Tapestry is, it conveys the battles of 1066 from William the Conqueror, Harold Hardrada of Norway, I believe, and also then King. I can't remember what our king what was the name of our king before he died to William the Conqueror. I think it was another Harold. He succeeded from Edward the Confessor, I believe. Yeah, I think it was Harold. Police? ? And so I urge you, the citizens of Quickville, to remember, with the police only black and blue are true, all other colours are vice. Chris displays his irrational hatred of the Vice Squad, Sonichu issue 5, and also again his reinforcement on colour as opposed to character. While a common misconception that holds that Chris essentially delivered a verbose fuck the police through the Jerkop characters, he clarified in Sonichu issue 5 that brown more security is wrong. Again, remember what I was just saying about colour? While more common black and blue police officers are true and honest. A lot of what Chris wrote about the Jerkops was a feeble effort to undermine the authority of private security staff by comparing them unfavourably with the police. So in mocking the Jerkops' cracker badges and hyping the true police people, Chris ironically put the police on a pedestal. Although in Chris's perspective, that is not particularly very high. That said, Chris held a very narrow definition of a true police officer. When describing the origins of the Jerkops on Wikipedia, Chris again pointed out that they wore uniforms of colours other than blue or black. This seemed to be a major sticking point for Chris, As far as he was concerned, the colour of a cop's uniform provided the sole signifier of his authority, even though many police officers wear brown or white uniforms whether Chris approves it or not. Whatever he was wearing at the time, Marcus Baguette was definitely a real police officer when he arrested Chris in 2004. Nevertheless, Chris still lumped him into the same category as all the security guards who gave him a hard time. So according to Chris's earlier outlook, cops are only okay as long as they wear black and blue and they don't try to arrest him for breaking the law. Subsequent to the events of the 28th of October 2011, these distinctions are moot. Chris now hates and fears all security guards or police officers, regardless of their uniforms or the source of their authority. In a Facebook status update from January 2012, made during an attempt to troll the Fashion Square Mall for sweethearts, he states, after the October 28, 2011 incident where he ran over Michael Snyder, I now have total disrespect and miscontent of the so-called officers of the badge. I like to imagine that there's going to come a point in time where if Chris was being mugged or somebody was doing something to him and the police were fully aware of this, well, technically it's not only the police in the state of Virginia as well as any other, state in the US would have been to protect and serve. Though I'm pretty sure I don't particularly think they would have been too happy to do it if it was someone like Chris, but that could just be my observation for now. Wait. Subsequent to the events, total disrespect and miscontent of the so-called police officers of the badge. Police in Sonichu. Well, I always knew it was going to be this short. While Quickville has a police department in Sonichu, they rarely ever appear, except to support Chris and Sonichu while they defend the city instead. In Sonichu Issue 5, Chris dismisses them for the battlefield as soon as he arrives, which is not something you would do if that sort of thing occurred. They're only mentioned as part of the city's defences. Finally, in Issue 10, Chris introduces Constables Louis Perez and Gerald Grant, when Magi-chan sends them to check Inus into a soup hotel. That's really all they're there for, really. Equipment. Oh, very clever. Equipment. My wooden badge was delicious. Jerkops Sonichu Issue 4 cover. Jerkops, in fitting with their mission to prevent autistic man-children from procreating, are equipped with fake badges, evidently made of crackers, glitter glue, and tree bark. What purpose these serve is unknown, as no one would be so retarded as to fall for such a shoddy disguise. In terms of weaponry, most Jerkops carry a stale breadstick, in place of a traditional nightstick, pulled from nowhere. The Jerkops also used handcuffs on one occasion, although this may not be standard issue. Jerkops wields a halberd-like poleaxe, and wears a suit of powered armor like laser cannons and missile launchers in its shoulders and back, because the Jerkops are not there to challenge Thanos or Darth Vader. They're challenging one person. Along with the ability to fire off its fists like rockets, he also keeps a pistol and a metal slingshot as backup weaponry. Jerkop Denizen wields a sword, and his costume seems to be made of a special material that protects him from the electric attacks of Chris Chan Sonichu. The Jerkops also employ several transforming robots for transportation and battle. These include Punislavs, which transform into brown-livered police cruisers, Scoundrels as vessels, which transform into heavily armoured SUVs, and Cractors, which transform into dark blue jet fighters. The Cractor model, if these guys were really supposed to, be under the employ, why were they even employed to, just patrol the malls anyway? Wouldn't there... I don't understand. The Cractor model proved instrumental in Baguette's capture of Chris in Sonichu Issue 4. Weaknesses. This is how Chris deals with people who tell him to get the fuck out. As demonstrated above, the best way to reduce those who prevent you from violating the law to a quivering pile of jelly is a good kick in the balls. Or as Chris calls it, the sourdough region. Well, of course he would call it something that ridiculous. I mean, you know, he hasn't got any sourdough regions. The lowest levels of Jerkop require only a single kick to this region. The putty patrollers could probably put up a better fight. In fact, they're actually very inconsistent in strength, I've come to realise. While higher level Jerkops such as the Jerkeef may require as many as 5 quick kicks because their fat absorbs the impact. Creation of a Jerkop. According to the Wikipedia, Jerkops are normal men and women who ended up attending Slawil Ryan's school known as Prowdwent Virginia Community College. Upon entering the school for the first day, they are unwittingly infected with brainwashing powder that subconsciously affects them. They can live normal lives, but once Slawil has need for them, she'll activate the brainwashing, and the Jerkops will don their uniforms and go cockblock Chris. As seen in Chris's earlier documentation, the Jerkops also made use of a hypno gun to add to their numbers, since they have such a hard time reproducing. Describing the hypno gun, Chris made it very clear that the Jerkop brainwashing only worked on slow in the minds. Great. And others of lesser intelligence. Marvellous. It wasn't until Sonatu issue 9 where any mention was made of the idea of unbrainwashing the Jerkops, and even when Chris makes clear that his electric hedgehogs have managed to actually kill several of their completely innocent retards in the fight. Whether the previous method of unbrainwashing the Jerkops in Sonatu and company managed to outright murder, it becomes a moot point in Sonatu issue 10, when Ultra Sonatu uses his high omnipotence to supposedly cure all Jerkops everywhere forever. Okay, I suppose that's... And there we go, ladies and gentlemen. This is their appearances, and whatever. Why is Cole listed as a Jerkop? What? I think we just had enough of that. I mean, there's no real point in really like going to Jane Cops either. They're pretty much the exact same person, aren't they? Yeah, there we go. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is Jerkops. Friggin' moron, and you don't want to, you know, be so naive as to, you know, just start bullshit about, you know, lambasting people because of, you know, you breaking the law. Maybe you should stop breaking the law and people will just leave you well enough alone. I found that out to be very, very easy and straightforward. Anyway, so with that being said, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I'll see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.